Can we get started?
No, like, see, this is sisters. Can we get along here?
We all get along.
Can we just all get along?
Same thing I said to Rodney. No.
No.
No, we can't.
We gotta keep things light. We gotta keep things light.
Oh my God.
It's important to keep things light. So okay. I just want y'all to know that officially I have sisters that don't like playing games.
Where is the surprise in that?
I'm over here trying to put you.
Okay, I just posted to the Book of Face, and now I can pay attention. Sorry, y'all not feeling great. Estee on her way.
Okay. Well, that's okay. So we're doing this. Okay, everyone. So I am Dr. Ìfétáyò Òjélàdé. Wait. No, see, I don't even have the same energy. Okay. So it's the first Friday. We had not been here for a while, I feel like. So it's good to see y'all. Let's jump in. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Ìfétáyò Òjélàdé. I'm a licensed psychologist. I am hanging out in what I always say is the unceded land of the Muskogee, otherwise known as Atlanta, Georgia. I am here today to discuss the amazing book, Essential Soldiers. Why do I not have the book in my hand right now? I know one of y'all got the book. Can y'all hold it up? Hold the book up, Dr. McCray. With the author of the book and our sister, Dr. Kenja McCray, who is also, is that officially Muskogee territory over there?
That's the manuscript.
Put that down.
Anyway, we all so out of it today. This is just, obviously we gonna make it, we just gonna keep it light. So just, bye. She held up the manuscript.
Lord. Okay, so Dr. Kenja McCray, she is an associate professor of history over at Clayton State University. And I don't know if that's Cherokee or Muskogee territory down there where she's at, but it's still technically Metro Atlanta. And then over in the left coast in Tongva territory, which is also known as Los Angeles, California, where I was born and raised, is our sister Thandisizwe Chimurenga. She is an author. She is a social commentator. She is a journalist. And she is the one that keeps our heads on straight, because if we try to slip up, she makes us get right. Hey, y'all. Hey. So we are talking about Essential Soldiers today. And look, I think it's because it's December and it's dreary outside. So we're like, oh, we just going to keep this really, really, really light outside. So we're here to celebrate our sister, Dr. McCray. We also call her Njamile. And this book that she wrote, it is out now. So if you don't have it, it is on NYU Press. And so definitely get the book. I will put the link for the book to purchase the book, and I will put it in the chat. So I want to start out, Dr. McCray, and if you could just tell us, why'd you write this book? Why this book? And why at this moment did you write this book?
Oh, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah. I was just on mute because I didn't want the background noise to be there. And then, of course, I had trouble finding the mute button because it's not where it is on Teams, which is what I usually work on. Okay, sorry. So, yeah, it came out of my dissertation. So I actually, how it started was I was in the PhD program at Georgia State University in history. And I was taking an African-American studies course. Those were that's where I had my sort of electives. I guess you could think of them as electives. Mm-hmm. And it was with Dr. Akinyele Umoja, and it was African-American social movements. And we had to write something like a review of the literature on a topic that was related. And what I was doing was trying to figure out, well, what am I going to write this long paper that I have to finish? Just, really a draft of a book for historians on. So I went and chatted with a librarian, a resource librarian, and I said, I want to write on women, want to write on the long Black freedom struggle in the United States. And I want to, I thought I wanted to write on the civil rights in the past and the civil rights movement. But I don't think I have anything to add to that discussion. But there are a lot of exciting discussions going on around Black power. So will you help me find sources on women in the Black power movement? And she said, yeah, come on back next week or something like that. And I'll have them. And when I got back, they were all books on the Black Panther Party. Mm-hmm. So a light bulb went off. And I was like, yes, I have things to contribute to this discussion. Because obviously, people, when you say Black power, often people think it's synonymous with Black Panther. And it wasn't just a resource librarian, but at the time I was teaching at a 2-year college. And when I was teaching my surveys in African American history, US history, I found a lot of students, same thing. When you ask them about the Black power movement, if they know anything about it, maybe Malcolm X, right? And then the Panthers. And so I said, there's so much more to explore. So when I went back to Dr. Umoja, I said, okay, so I know I don't want to write on women Panthers. You have assigned things, a lot of it is on women who were Panthers. I want to explore some of these other Black power organizations. And he said, why don't you check out, think about writing on women in Kawaida? And I said, don't quite know what that is. And I had been celebrating, observing Kwanzaa probably since my first year in college. I came to Atlanta to go to the Atlanta University Center at Spelman College, and we got information on and experiences with Kwanzaa, the Kwanzaa principles, and there were, some focused celebrations around it. And so I knew what Kwanzaa was, but I either didn't know or hadn't paid attention to the fact that Kawaida was the larger philosophy that Kwanzaa came out of, and that it was originated by the US organization and the main philosopher of that organization, leader, one of the founders, Maulana Karenga, had been credited with, developing this Kawaida philosophy. And so, I looked into the women in Kawaida organizations for that paper, and then the paper, it just took off from there.
Actually, you know what? We need what's the full name of the book? Because Njamile held up the manuscript.
So why I was slow to come to the mute button was I was going to put an image of it behind me. So then that way, so I was almost there.
Name of the book:
Essential Soldiers: Women Activists and Black Power Movement Leadership.
We all tired, I know.
And so if you are interested, what I did is I put the link for NYU, so you can buy the book on NYU Press if you're interested. Thandi, I know that you have written specifically about Black women that have actually been part of this movement. As an author, as a Black woman, and then one that has written about other Black women, tell me your thoughts on the book.
So the first thing I'll say is I did not finish reading the entire book. There were times when I would read the book and get mad and put it down. And I get mad. I was like, these N words really did this, didn't they? So just, I mean, I wanted to get that off my chest. Hey, which one is you? What's your name? Estee? Is it Nena? What's your name?
Estee Dillard.
All of them are my name.
Okunsade.
All of them.
We
Yeah.
are so tired today. But hey, Estee.
Hey.
Wait. Who is this? Hold on. Because wait a minute. Wait. Damn.
Here we go.
Who is Toto Boy 77?
I don't know.
Who is this person on? Let me tell you right now. Not only am I gonna block your ass, let's be clear.
It wasn't.
I am not the sister for this. Not only am I gonna block your ass, I will send my ancestors after you. Don't come on this thing starting on negativity. If you're gonna do that, go over there with them white folks. They're doing all that crazy stuff. Don't come on this channel doing crazy stuff.
No. That's a nice monologue, but block him and get rid of that comment. Block him so that comment will get out of here. The hell up out of here. You ain't got nothing else to do. Go someplace else, white boy, or whoever the hell you was. There you go. Ban and then comments removed. So as I was saying, I wanted to get that off my chest first. Now coming back, I'm so glad that the book is here. I think it is a wonderful addition. It is sorely needed and a wonderful addition to not only the literature but the history of documenting this part of our struggle, because there's such a lack of books in particular talking about the revolutionary nationalists, Pan-African nationalists, etc., organizations and aspect of our struggle. So I'm thankful for that. And as you know, as a reviewer of the literature, books by Black women who come out of that tradition are also few and far in between. So I'm happy it's here. It's a wonderful addition. I know the author, all these good things, right? But it's like I have to learn to stop taking things. Che Guevara says that we should take things personal, and I have to stop taking things personal. Whenever we, it's something about feeling injustices very personally, and whenever I hear about these injustices, I take them personally, and I got to stop that because it's not good for my health. So, just like with Kwanzaa, well, maybe not like with Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa, as we know, as the years have gone through and we've gotten more information, we've been able to talk to more and more people who were involved. We know that Kwanzaa was a group effort that is attributed to one person. So people feel a way about Kwanzaa that they can celebrate it without necessarily celebrating Chimurenga. Unfortunately, I don't think it's the same thing with Kawaida. It might be because you have other organizations that took up the philosophy, but because it is directly credited as coming from particularly one person, Maulana Chimurenga, I don't necessarily see it as a group creation. What's my point? My point is, first of all, it's like I have issues with Kawaida. I have issues when I hear Kawaida. I have issues when I hear Maulana Chimurenga. I especially have issues when I hear the phrase Kawaida womanism. I'm like, this should be nowhere near Black women. This should be kept away from Black women, because this man has neither admitted nor atoned for his egregious actions, his violent actions against Black women. And reading your book, recounting the sexism and the patriarchy in these Black nationalist Pan-African organizations that adhere to Kawaida, this is how you lead to such egregious, violent, hateful actions against Black women, because of the cult of personality, because of narcissism, because of ego. And yeah, that's what I mean. Like I was reading one section, I said, okay, I put it down and went and started watching YouTube videos. I said, I come back because I'm getting too upset. And then I come back and I start reading again. And so, yeah. So I want to stress that I appreciate the book. The book is needed because you painstakingly document all of the ways that Black women have been involved in these organizations and consequently our movements for liberation, even though we may not have had the title of leadership. The people in the community saw the sisters as leaders because they were putting in work, even if, quote unquote, some of the men in the organization didn't, as reflected by the titles or lack of titles that women had. And again, I really want to stress the fact that it's such a needed addition. You know, when you talk about, especially being there in Atlanta, Georgia, when you talk about sisters like Chaiko Kwayana, formerly known, I believe it was Ann, is it Cook? What's her last name? Who married Yusei Kwayana, and the work that they did building Guyana, not only building up Guyana, but the work they did here in the U.S. to create Pan-African and Black nationalist support of Guyana. That is a story that needs to be told. And I look forward to that too, because Guyana has figured I don't think we understand how prominently Guyana has figured in the Black nationalist, Black power movement. Mm-hmm. We hear about Jim Jones, but what about before that?
Yeah.
And what about
the groundwork? Yeah.
Yeah, and the groundwork that Mama Chaiko Kwayana played in that. So it's just, you know, unlike this other piece of excrement who claimed that what did he say? The book wasn't worth it. He obviously ain't read the book. If you're watching this, you need to read the book. You need to read the book to fill out your knowledge base, to fill in the gaps of what you're missing.
Thank you. Yeah, and Chaiko Kwayana was formerly Ann F. Cook.
Right.
Yeah.
And she actually wrote an essay. I can't remember what it's on. You gotta forgive me, Mama Chaiko. But under the name Ann Cook, she's also in Tony Cade Bambara's book, The Black Woman, which is from 68 or 69.
Wow. Yeah. And I saw
she was true to this.
Diana. Sorry.
I said she wasn't new to this. She was true to this.
Yeah, she was, and I found her very interesting because her roots were in rural Georgia.
Rural Georgia, yeah.
Yeah. But there I saw a cover for Russell Rickford's book. He's focusing on Guyana.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it, and it's coming soon.
Oh wow. Okay. And he would be a good person to do that also. Yeah. Shout out to Ross Kofi, the farmer. Yeah. That's his mama, Mama Chaiko.
Yeah.
And Baba Eusi.
Yep. Yeah, so we look forward to reading Rickford's work on Guyana to see if he says anything more about NF Cook. If not, we need to pin down Ross Kofi so we can get started on that biography.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I just was in Belize 2 weeks ago, and I was with the conference that I was on there at. The brother that organized the conference is from Guyana, and then there was another Ifa priest that was from Guyana, and so then I'm kind of getting that history. It's just always interesting because Guyanese people, I'm like, y'all be underestimating the Guyanese people. You really do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember reading that part in the book, and I think I texted you, Dr. McCray. I was like, wait a minute, didn't I ask you? I was like, you didn't tell me such and such and such. I remember just being like really excited about that part being included. Estee, from you, so kind of the question that I asked Thandi at the beginning before I went off on that food is why do we need to read this book?
I mean, other than the obvious, I think that for those of us who are younger, I think it is a really, really great history. It is a really, really great archive of what for me feels like the kitchen table conversations. This is what I love about womanism. I was raised in a Black church. So, like there's always a story about what happened, like in the street or in the sanctuary. But to know what really happened, you had to be at the kitchen table. You had to be in the kitchen, right, where they was making the food at. That was where you really got the real tea about what was going on. Right.
Piping hot tea.
Yeah, for real. And you knew what was going on, you knew what was coming, you knew where you needed to be, right? You knew where the protest was gonna be at, you knew what kind of knew you need to have on, knew what you need to have together, you know who, how, when, and I think that's what I really took away more than many, many other things that I took away from Essential Soldiers, is that it's an opportunity for us to be able to get another level of insight into what was really happening in these movement cultures, in these movement centers, and understanding the central ways that Black women were orchestrating these movements, these cultural movements, how they were reordering things. I feel from what we had experienced as a descendants of enslaved folks. And for me, it feels like being able to be a fly on the wall, of being able to see a chronology in a certain way of these women's stories, to like what was happening though in the part where, not the loud part that gets the front page of the newspaper, but what was happening in the kitchen. And I think that positioned in a very clear academic foundation and a very clear practical application that is timeless, really, makes this an essential book.
So this is the question I have. We're all at some level in some kind of, I don't know what the word you want to use. We've been in Black nationalist political circles. And one of the things that Tanda, you were saying at the beginning was the book was making you mad. The ways in which patriarchy shows up in those spaces. And all of us have experienced it personally. Well, let me not.
We've either experienced it or observed it.
Observed it, yeah.
I mean, just to experience it, like,
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we've experienced it by proximity, like even if it's not enough. Yeah, like we have to, because they're not making us the leader. They're not going to take us, like so.
So then I'm wondering, when we think about ourselves, why have we stayed in movements where we see the patriarchy? And then thinking about how do you compare yourself to the women, the sisters that we read in the book that were dealing with patriarchy and its number of levels. Like everything that I read in there, I was like, oh yeah, I've seen that, I've experienced that. And so why do we stay?
Because it's bigger than us. One of the things Njimile talked about, this idea of service, of putting in work, despite N-words, being surrounded by N-words. It's like I said, it's bigger than us, and knowing that you can either subtly or directly confront what's happening and make a change. And unfortunately, far too many sisters have left movements, have left organizations because of such madness. I don't have a scientific count. Did more stay than more left? I just know too many have left. And they should not have had to leave because of that. I'm trying to watch my language. because of that madness. I'm gonna keep it nice because of that type of madness.
Did you hear the question, Dr. McCray? I was telling them to think about, our choices to be in these movements when we still experience patriarchy in its different forms, and then kind of comparing what we read about the Black women that you wrote about and them experiencing it. Estee, you always the one that's, down for the cause and, with that womanist perspective. Why do you keep around these circles? Because there's a two-part thing, actually. I want to ask you specifically, Estee.
Okay.
One is the sexism, but the second is the homophobia, which is off the charts, which I don't remember that even being messed with in the book or touched in the book. So Dr. McCray, you had to come to me and remind me if you touched on that at all. What is that?
So I think two things. I think that staying has to be a personal health decision. So I think that not just if you stay, but then how you stay has to be a personal health decision. And I celebrate and honor Black women in whatever ways they need to be healthy. And I still consider myself to be in community with women wherever they are. Because that's just how I feel about Black femininity. So I think that there are communities where too many have left, and sometimes I've been like, nah, all of them should have left. We shouldn't be here. You know what I'm saying? And I'm still going to their house. When the revolution comes, I'm actually going there first. But
I'll drive you, sis.
Listen, but to answer the question personally, for me, is that I think that if everybody who has capacity and can, in a healthy way, navigate the abuses of heterosexism and sexism and patriarchy, as you have capacity, I think then we have to extend that work, that medicine, to the folks that we're with. And if everybody who gets healing and has the medicine leaves, nobody gets more well.
Right.
And I have, for me, and because I am younger, because I have been protected, because I have in some spaces not been protected and been the one that had to cuss everybody out and been the one exiled, right? Because I've been on all sides of it. I think for me, it gives me a different resilience, a different wherewithal to understand why I choose the spaces that I choose, and to get really clear with myself and my own spirit about what my role is in those spaces, and so I can engage what I'm clear my own instructions are for how I govern my life in a way that I maintain my health, and I maintain my safety. And I think the heterosexism is really its own conversation. But I think that is just that is, to me, heterosexism is like anti-Blackness when you're Black. Like, it is the most insidious parasite that we have chosen to continue to consume from white supremacy that I know that we have in Black culture. And for me, I have to accept on some degree that I will never get that monkey off our back. That's not my job. That ain't what I came to the planet for. So then for me, it goes back to, what am I going to do about these people, about this location, about this work, about this agreement, about the mission of this space, about what we're doing here? And then how do I make sure that we get real clear that, like what you told our exiled, right? Like that, I'm not that sister. You or my wife.
Tani pulled me back because she was like, wait a minute, this man.
Yeah.
Like, oh,
I was thinking the same, and I was between like, first of all, I ain't see it, and then between like, well, I mean, what? Okay, yeah, no, just
kick him to the curb. Don't get waste no
Yeah.
lecture on this fool.
right.
Huh?
We don't even know your name. You ain't even coming here and tell your whole name. You ain't got enough guts to do. Like, go on, hit him.
Because that's what they want, engagement. No.
Exactly. Energy.
Get your ass out. Get your ass out of here. I'm sorry.
Okay, back to our author and her work. What do we need to do? So, again, going back to kind of my first question that I asked you, Dr. McCray, I was like, why in this moment? This book is essential in this moment. Of everything that we're experiencing right now. I'm sure that y'all are probably up on, the latest of whatever the sociopath is doing. I don't keep up with it, but I know it's cray. And so we're at this moment that really takes us back in time, and we're going to have to learn some of these lessons that these elders in this book that you wrote about had to use in order to be able to organize and be able to protect themselves. And so what are some of the things that we should be taking from what they did as Black women to organize, number one, but then also to be able to protect their relationship with other Black women?
There's a lot, right? I was so overwhelmed. I would say the practical leadership lessons would be to engage. I think that's the first thing. And I think because it was in the time well before the internet and social media, engaging in person when possible is important, but engage regularly and with intention and methodically. So, whether it is your sisterhood meetings within the larger organization or your separate group like the Black Women's Group that was a spinoff from a Hidiana, right? But having spaces where you methodically read about, discuss, and implement issues and and implement the program that specifically deals with what initially the women were calling at least tripartite oppression, right? The intersectionality, as Kimberly Crenshaw would say, intersectional issues. So not just race, but race in concert with gender, in concert with sexuality, in concert with class, etc. So that's one thing. So be methodical, and be studied, like study, read. So that's why I say, okay, what these women demonstrated is not just your standard model of leadership in many ways, right? Of leadership that came out of the Black Power movement, because when I read the literature and I read about leadership models that we inherited from the Black Power movement, what historians, academics were writing about was that authoritarian, as you all were saying, that authoritarian top-down model that can be lead through fear or coercion, right? Charismatic model of leadership, but that they demonstrated a kind of service leadership or servant leadership. People will call it in business servant leadership. But that study, that methodical study, is one thing that set this kind of servant leadership apart. And much of that study was rooted in African-centered practices, values, ideologies. And so what they brought to their service leadership was very much rooted in African-centered ideals. So you can't do it without studying, but you can't get stuck on the studying. That's where the Kazi part comes in. And I wrote about it, and I often speak about it as if it was a shadow eighth principle. If you know the 7 principles, right? Kazi, shadow eighth principle. And people ask, okay, so what does this mean? And I was thinking, well, when I was interviewing people and they talked a lot about Kazi being the blackest principle of all the 7 all the principles, right? Because Kawaida is this larger concept than just the 7 principles, just the Kwanzaa principles. Why you need Kazi, which meant work in Kiswahili, means work in Kiswahili. When you have Ujamaa, collective work and responsibility. And I said, I almost perceive it as if it's the shadow eighth principle that's focused on the balance between personal and collective responsibility.
Individual, yeah.
Yeah, right. So we don't want to, Ujamaa and Umoja focus us on how important it is to be unified. But when they said Kazi, Black people are always doing Kazi like you mean it. They're emphasizing, yeah, but don't hide behind that. And now I'm starting to see, and don't invoke it when it's good for you, right? When you're looking at charismatic leadership models, where's the Ujamaa in that?
Ujamaa or Ujima?
Ujamaa.
The cooperative economic.
I'm sorry, Ujima.
No,
Ujima. I'm thinking, yes, thank you, Thandisizwe. Ujima. And when I look at a charismatic leadership model, the one top-down authoritarian leadership, I'm thinking, well, where's the Ujima in that? I'm sorry.
Got it.
Where is the Ujima in that?
There's narcissism.
Tanya, you too much.
Well, yeah, there's not narcissism, but I'm thinking, well, okay, but let's really look at it for what it is. What other models do we have? That's the most common leadership model that I feel like we're taught about, at least from a Western perspective. When we come up in these here United States or in the Western quote unquote world, how we see leadership is very much rooted in the authoritarian top-down command and control model.
But that's not the only one. I mean, there are definitely other models. I mean, there's a lot of literature.
I'm saying I was about to say that. You're going to say the literature. I'm talking about the common person. Just you.
Coming out the US.
Yes, before you got your higher degrees and all that kind of stuff, when somebody says leader, are you thinking of, do you think the masses think of a group of women?
Not necessarily a group of women, but I mean, I've definitely been in spaces before I did anything that had to do with psychology, of where the conversation was more about like kind of collective work or collective identity.
From a Western perspective.
Yeah. But that might, I don't know. I was going to blame it on being from California, but then I don't know. Thandi, I mean, you there now. I don't know. And it might have just been the spaces that I was exposed to. But yeah, I mean, there was lots of I saw definitely authoritative personalities. Authoritative. I didn't mean authoritative. Authoritarian personality, and charismatic leaders, but I didn't see that as the primary model.
Oh yeah, no, because I, like even when I remember going to, just regular everyday session that a psychologist was running. And that psychologist, it was a male, was like, you can't have more than one leader. There's one leader. There's one leader. And when a burglar comes, are you women gonna stand up against that leader? No, your man needs to stand up against the leader. There's one leader.
You know what this is? You know what I'm realizing? So
What?
when I started out, because I started out in community college, and I have not seen Dr. Paul Price in I don't know how many years, 30 years or whatever. Dr. Price was not that way. And so my first exposure to folks in terms of organizing and any kind of political consciousness was through Dr. Price. And Dr. Price was very much a collaborative, he held a very collaborative perspective. And so I didn't realize that until you just said that. And then you got to also remember, and I wasn't raised in a Black church. So I almost feel like that's kind of one of the early experiences of seeing kind of authoritarian models is if you're raised in a Black church.
Okay, yeah, I was definitely raised in the Black church. Yes.
AME over here.
AME. Oh, well, I was in a church that the church is in the process of being sold or has been recently sold. And so my mom was on the committee and helping to facilitate that. And she was like, look at this. I think it was the deed. And it was like, for sale, one Negro. I mean, yes. What are they getting the loan for? Something like that. A Negro church. Right. So that's the church I grew up in, a Negro church started by my Black great grandfather. And it was Church of God. It wasn't AME.
Kojic.
It wasn't even the ick. It was just Coach. It was just Coach, very obscure, just Coach. Yes. And so the odd part is that that's not what we saw in terms of what made the church go. And we know that from, if you've ever had any kind of Black history or anything, it took everybody to make the church happen.
The glory.
But in terms of the official leadership, I still don't see where commonly, in having grown up, there is a collectivity in terms of who gets the label leader. Yeah. So maybe people who are tuning in now and when they listen to and watch the recording can put in the chat, like, what was your earliest exposure to leadership and who can be a leader? Was it more top down, one leader, or was it a more collective perspective? And where did you learn that? Was it in the Black church, or did you grow up in the culture? That would be interesting to know.
So it's interesting. Now you made me think. So I got distracted for a second because I was like, I wonder where Dr. Price is. So of course I was trying to look him up online real quick. And when I think about it in terms of family, definitely, like if I think about my grandfather, I'll say on one side, because one of my grandfathers died when I was really young. But when I think about my grandfather, he was definitely absolutely authoritarian. Absolutely. And I would not have thought that as a child. I understand that now as an adult. I think that's an interesting thing for folks to think about, like overall of that, and particularly with the resurgence. I'm wondering for both of you, what do you all think about? One of the things in the book that you pointed out was this whole idea of some of the ways that the way I'm interpreting it is like authoritarian male leadership or domination over Black women is tried to put a dashiki on it and make it African centered and talk about that as like African ways. And so there are lots of things in terms of kind of polygamous relationships or women being kind of expected to follow men and support men and elevate men without having their own voice. Like that was the expectation, if you're like a good sister in the struggle, that you're going to support your man. And I noticed that there's a lot of that kind of resurgence of that kind of talk of like, I hear people say stuff like, they call women men. They say that they have too much male energy in them, or things like that. And you have all these things in the manosphere. So I'm wondering from you, Dr. McCray and Thandi, I'd love for your perspective too of what do you think about that kind of resurgence of that energy, of this expectation that really, in order to be down for the cause and supportive of Black people, that Black women should just shut up.
Well, of course. Okay, I said I wasn't going.
Hey, Omidara, I see her on there.
Hey, Omidara. Well, of course I believe that's dumb shit, but that's stupid ass shit. Anyway,
tell us what you really think, Thandi.
Stupid ass shit, niggas. Anyway, you know the N word. You made me go there. You brought it out of me. The internet has amplified stupid shit exponentially. And so maybe some of us had been thinking it, but weren't able to get it out there. But, you know, it's out there in the world now, which is why we have to increase. What did you say earlier, Njamila? We have to study. And part of that work is to disseminate this information, this documentation, like what your book talks about. You know, there's that madness. There's the whole I'm not African, the FBA, ADA, all of this madness, which is amplified, which so many of us believe is a psychological operation. Because I'm like, we have been set back in many instances, several decades, because of a lot of this madness, a lot of this nonsense, because it has become so amplified, right? So us continuing to be committed and consistent is one of the ways that we continue to chip away at this, and utilizing tools such as social media, such as broadcasting like we're doing now, sharing, you know, something people can share links and watch it later and dialogue with us. It's imperative that we be consistent in doing this. We may not have the viewership of some of these other madness peddlers out here, but we have to be consistent, because this is a story that needs to be told. You know, I think often about the use of Kiswahili in our movement and how that came about, the whole history of what people are calling re-Africanization, the Pan-Africanist movement. And I'm like, for you people to be running around here talking about you ain't African, and they see an African name and call someone a tether, I'm like, you have missed an entire swath of history. You have missed an entire, for lack of a better word, chunk of our movement here in this country, because you started watching some nigga on YouTube because you don't read. Because you don't read and you don't know this history. And you're denigrating a history you know nothing about because you like the way somebody looks on you. It's ridiculous.
So I wonder if that's the danger of a charismatic leader, that a charismatic leader is someone that has people follow them. That's a Jim Jones. That's a, a Charles Manson. That's
a Chimurenga.
Well, and then you follow after these people, but what they're spouting is garbage. And so, Dr. McCray, how do we balance that today when we want to be collaborative? Definitely, we want to be collaborative with our brothers and, be in relationship with them. So how do we balance that with being able to be seen as leaders in our own right?
How do we balance? Can you clarify balance?
So how do we balance dealing with like patriarchy or that kind of oppressive authoritarian perspective with being trying to be collaborative and still be in relationship with you. I don't know if that makes sense. You like looking at me like, no, that doesn't make sense.
Oh no, I'm thinking because I haven't had that question come up before. I don't think.
While she's thinking, let me just say we have to confront it every time we see it. You got to confront it. It has to be confronted.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing, but I don't think it gets at the heart of what you're saying about. Yeah, well, I think we're at an inflection point, a crossroads, right? Where it's important for us. I agree, Thandi, that we need to be methodical and consistent about having these conversations, and then, I think publicizing conclusions, or propagating, right? Because there has been what I'm looking at in terms of some of the other studies that people are putting out and literature that people are putting out, that we theorized about how to talk about and be womanist or feminist. Thandi, Kawi Ida womanist, Africana womanist, right? But we didn't fully play out, theorize, and have a program around how then do males exist within this, right? How do men remain men in a feminist context? So I do think there were male feminists.
We know that, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm wondering if there's something to that. Now, this is not what my book is about. This is not my area of expertise. So I'm being asked this on the spot. And so I'm theorizing, what does that look like for, what does manhood look like in a context of feminism and empowered and very womanly women? And I think I'm in sisterhood called Set in African Sisterhood, and there's a masculine component called Kemet, the Brotherhood of Kemet. And it was an AUC thing from the 1980s and 1990s, Atlanta University Center thing. And even though, like I said at the beginning of the book, we were in conversation with a group of elders about what it meant to be African women, how we generally, as people of the diaspora, there were some South African sisters in it, too, in the early days. But what it meant to be an African woman, what did African womanhood mean? And the brothers dealt with African manhood, right? In Kemet, I can't say that I recall there was much defining these in concert between our two groups. So the males did dialogue with women, but in terms of constructing womanhood, we still took the approach that the men socialized males and the women socialized females. So when we say rites of passage, we women would work with young girls and the men work with boys. I'm wondering if there's something to the idea that, okay, but we can't always be in these separate, what in history we call separate spheres.
Right.
What it look like for men to be men in the context of in a womanist or a feminist context where a woman is strong and she's not curtailed, not her wings aren't clipped, she doesn't have to make herself smaller, and her being smaller, making adjustments for her to be in spaces that were once perceived as only masculine spaces. What does it look like to not then clip the male's wings?
Mm-hmm.
So
be whole in this context. I don't know that there's enough of that.
So that's really interesting. I want to put in Omidara's comment. She put on here, she said, we must demand and demonstrate collaborative leadership structures every time we have a chance. So there's two comments I want y'all to comment on. So, of course, when I read it, I was like, yeah. And then what I see, and I'm going to get in trouble, Tanya, I feel like from you saying this, is when I read that we must demand, and I said, okay. So then sometimes I see that, and I remember talking to one of my staff members sometime where the energy was always like that Shango, that fire, I'm demanding, this is it. And I remember just saying, like, sometimes you can use a different energy. Like, sometimes we don't have to use that energy.
I think both approaches have been used. I think in Jamila's book talks about and shows how there are a myriad of ways to create change. Even those other books like Reimagining Black Power by Ashley Farmer, and all of these other books looking at Black women in the Black Power movement, the various ways that we challenge, quote unquote, either through policy or through literally getting in Negroes' faces. Right? There's a different there's a go back to the same word. There's a myriad of ways and approaches that we can utilize, and I think that demand should not be off the table. Demand should not be off the table. Now, I want to address this comment about from is it Door?
Wait, before you go to that one, Tande, I was going to put that one up too.
He or she has two comments, so I want to address them both. But go ahead.
And bye, Omidara. Thank you for coming. And Jamila, I wanted to see if you had comments on Omidara's comment, but then also I want to let you know, Tande, Omidara said that you got to have 10 push-ups every time you say that word. But anyway.
Niggas. Niggas are scared of revolution. Niggas with a Z or a S. I don't care. No hard R, A-S. Niggas.
That's about 1,000 push-ups right there. Okay. Jamila, I just want to see
I need to do some push-ups. I'm not going to, though. Anyway.
Lord, you have comments on that or thoughts? Before I move to the next comment.
On Midara's comment?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that. I like that. We must demand and demonstrate collaborative leader structures every time we have a chance, and critique their uses. Like again, sometimes they're used to hide more some nefarious, right? Some unproductive means of working and leading. So we have to critique them, and then as well. And I don't know though, like I think one of the things of like collaborative leadership, consensus-based structures is that they're not as efficient, right, as the strong arm, the strong hand. Now, mind you, the collaboration may be a better, more sustainable way of leading and working, but sometimes we can't get past the iron fist came down and then what, right? So yes, demand, yes, demonstrate, yes, also plan for resiliency, backlash, the clapback. The clapback is coming. So then how do we deal with that? How do we work through having a slower, maybe less efficient way of leading through collaboration? All of that needs to be dealt with.
Let me make it.
Oh,
Thank you for.
Uh-oh.
Oh Lord! Oh Lord! Oh Lord!
We're back.
She'll be back. She'll be back. I know that I'm gonna put this comment up there, Thandie, because that's the comment that you wanted to.
Well, no, I wanted to let's hit them both. The one before that about propaganda.
Oh, hold on a second. Chase Hughes.
I don't know who that is, but yeah, a creator of psychological operations has said all media is propaganda created by the elites in society to maintain the uneven power balance. Chitlins are the intestines of a pig, and our people partook of them when they needed to in order to survive, in order to add to their diet. Some people love them to this day. Some people like me ain't never had them, never will have them. Some people grew up on them and no longer use them. The point being, chitlins was something that was thrown to us and we utilized it and made it what we needed to make it. Media is propaganda created by the elites. Does that mean that we do not partake of it? Does that mean that we do not attempt to use it for our communities, for our liberation? No. I remember Kwame Ture once said, how come there's no African car? Everything that makes the car come out of Africa. How come there's no African car manufacturers? Does that mean that we no longer utilize vehicles because they come from Europe or Asia? No. These things are exactly that. They are vehicles. Organizations are vehicles. They are tools. So media might be the tool created by the elites to maintain control. We need to continue to utilize it, just like we need to continue to utilize everything else. It needs to stay in the toolbox. It needs to stay on the table. Now, as for the second comment, many Black scholar writers have detailed the feminist movement was created to cause division in the Black Power movement because Black people, women too, but usually Black men, refuse to study feminism holistically. We have this view of feminism that's very, very one-sided, very, very one-dimensional. What do I mean by that? We have this thought in our mind that Black women choose feminism because we stupid and don't know no better.
Or because we're gay. Don't forget about that.
We're gay, yeah.
We're just following after white women. Never once does it enter the consciousness that maybe our lived experiences with Black men make us choose feminism.
Well,
hold on. So there's that aspect. And then you've got decolonial feminism, third world feminism. You know, you don't just have the quote unquote mainstream bourgeois feminism of white women and the mainstream Black feminism that seeks an alliance with white women. You got all kinds of feminisms that are
womanism.
The world. Huh?
I said you have womanism, but go ahead.
And you have womanism. So it was created to destroy the Black Power movement. I don't know if it was created to destroy the Black Power movement. Was it a tool that could destroy the Black Power movement? Sure, probably, just like drugs was created. Now, I'm not going to advocate that we utilize drugs as a tool for liberation. I'm saying that you can say damn near anything was created. Well, the gay rights movement, trans stuff was created to destroy. Come on, man, just knock it off. It's 2025. Stop it. I would also
challenge that timeline of the development of the feminist movement. Because
come on, historian, come on, because you know I was going to ask you for this.
It suggests that the feminist movement did not come about until the 1965 or post 1965, when the feminist movement has many iterations that predated that. And so if we look at it, so you saying Sojourner Truth, that she was a plant to destabilize
the Black Power movement
that would come 100 years later. No, women, I love intersectionality as theory, because I'm just like, no. If you read the book, then you'll see that there were women in these organizations who got in and initially believed things like that, and then were like, no, we as women need to get together and speak up on special issues that impact us in specific ways that we are being oppressed around our race and gender, which later, Moya Bailey would call misogyny much later. That's something very specific. And if you read about Black women, Black feminists of the era, and then many of these women who I interviewed and read, what they had written for this book, will say, I am both not a feminist and both very clear that whatever, we called it, and we didn't want to call it feminism because we went with that, right? Mm-hmm. We had to address specific issues around women and women's oppression.
Women's oppression. Thank you.
Specific stuff where it's like, hey, if you do that to them, I didn't start out trying to do that to them, but if I do that to those Black women, a lot of people will not care. Mm-hmm. A lot more who will take notice when it's done to a white woman or a brother.
Yeah.
And so we cannot ignore that. And then there's some of the women who are like, I came to my feminism through this. I started out and joined certain organizations, thinking that feminism was a tool to deconstruct the Black Power movement. And I was like, well, no, and so I started reading up, and I got with the sisters, and I thought I was a womanist, but then I ended up a dyed-in-the-wool feminist, because there were certain people that fought me on every turn when I said, no, this is not working for me. This is not working for us. You're not just going to abuse us and be like, oh, I just thought, okay. People were clear, even when they said, I had one woman in the series of interviews that I did with her to say, quote unquote, and I was never down with the feminist thing. To this day, I don't call myself a feminist, and I see it as a white woman's thing. And I felt like most of them, she didn't say wanted to destabilize the Black Power movement. She said wanted that it was very anti-LGBTQ. Okay. It was anti-lesbian, what she said. Most of them wanted to get you behind doors, and she made a signal, right? That meant oral sex, right? Mm-hmm. And she said, and I was not with that. But she also said these things, though, were special things that I saw that were directed at Black women, at exploiting, abusing, and marginalizing Black women.
Absolutely.
That were in these particular one of the premier organizations. So it's a lot more complex than I think to say that this is a creation of destabilize. It just doesn't take into account all things, right?
You have to take it into account. Exactly. It ignores and dismisses it. And let me say real quick.
Go ahead.
Real quick. How many Panthers, when you study their history, they talk about it was the police that made me join the Black Panther Party? For a lot of sisters, it's experiences with Black men in and out of organizations that made them become feminists. Now, I know some of y'all don't want to hear that, Oh well.
I mean, I'm saying in particular in
I'm not talking about YouTube. I'm not talking about YouTube. I'm talking about y'all who are watching.
Oh yeah, no, but I'm saying that in particular, when you said experiences with Black men, I just want to be clear. It's specific experiences with authoritarian leadership models that are very race focused and do not deal correctly or properly or what have you with the women's issues, with gender issues, with family issues. Because a lot of the thinking and the models for Black power can tend to be focused on revolution, which is why I said in the comments, yes, the revolution is for everybody, and the community that's going to sustain us through revolution and the one we're trying to work for needs everybody too. And you're only thinking command and control, top down, binary, on, off, black, white. It doesn't get to all the facets that we need to maintain and sustain a whole community. And that is one of the main ideas that's the women we're talking about. And I hope that comes through in the book.
So, I mean, I think, see, y'all got live on that one last one. Y'all got live.
I ain't no ways tired now.
Blood pump. Guaranteed to get the blood pumping.
Well, and I think that this is an important discussion. I feel like we should have a whole thing about Black feminism, because I don't think we've ever talked about that. Black feminism.
I don't know. Maybe
I think we wove it in and out, but I don't know if we've had a whole topic on it. I do think that this is important because when I was reading that comment, when I was like, okay, feminism movement was created to cause division in the Black Power movement. I'm like, first of all, again, Dr. McCray, I was going to ask you, well, tell us the years of the Black Power movement. So I'm glad you said 1965. So, and is that when it starts? Kind of officially. I mean, I know that there was no but
when it starts.
The Black Power movement. What are the years of the Black Power movement?
That's generally considered the starting is 1965, 1960.
Like the death of Malcolm.
Malcolm, or the Watts uprising.
Going into 66 with Black Power as the chant during the Civil Rights March and coming forward.
But then
march against fear.
To your point, Dr. McCray, if you read intensely, when you look at Ida B. Wells, who died in 1931, when you look at Madison J. Walker, who died in 1919, 1917, something like that, 1919, when you look at their stories, you're clear that they were feminists. When you look
that's not necessarily true, though. I don't agree.
I don't think that they were doing feminist work.
I disagree.
And I'm saying that only because before I embraced the word feminist, I was like, there's a concerted effort to, what's that word? Appropriate Black women for the feminist movement. To say that, for example, to say that Sojourner Truth was a feminist and the word feminism hadn't even been created yet. So I can understand both sides of the argument. They're doing, the women's club movement. They're doing quote unquote
that's feminist
women's work.
No, but see,
they're doing women's work and race work at the same time. And we have always seen our work as part of the race, while also at the same time calling out the dumb shit that gets directed towards us because we are women. So we've always done this type of we've always done this type of work.
So, and I don't agree. Let me tell you, I'm gonna listen to what you got to say, but I want to say out front, in case we don't get back around to it, because there's two questions that I also don't want to leave hanging. But I don't agree with that. I don't think we have to call everybody everybody who is a woman who is doing entrepreneurship work in a time when women were supposed to be domestically oriented. I don't agree with calling them all feminists.
Well, wait a minute. What do you mean entrepreneur work?
When she said, Madam
CJ, she's talking about Madam CJ Walker.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's just one example, right?
Yeah.
I don't agree, and it's because I do think that there is validity in rejecting a designation that didn't make room for us as Black women either. Because when Ida B. Wells Barnett tried to get into, like the feminist parade and not be in the segregated section, but to march with the women with degrees.
Women's suffrage. It wasn't feminist. It was women's.
Well, it was women's suffrage movement.
But you can expand that. It depends on how, like all of these things that we're mincing words. But I think it's important to at least account for the fact that I don't reject women who say feminism was not a Black thing, because that anti-Blackness that has been present in the feminist movement is something that is just as important as the misogyny in Black power.
Right, it's real and it's here, absolutely.
Yeah, but not everybody. That's why so the dissertation was almost 500 pages long. And some of the stuff that was cut was like my discussion about grappling over this. We always arguing over it. And there were women who I interviewed who were staunchly anti-feminist, and women who I interviewed who said there's no reason, just like with the people who said they weren't going to be down with the socialists, the white socialists and stuff like that, who said, there were people on all sides of these issues who were saying, why are we reinventing the wheel? We don't have an institutional expression. We don't have legislative policy expressions around these issues. And so why reinvent the wheel when we could align with people who have institutional, existences around some of these ideologies. And so I think, though, what we call ourselves, we don't need to get stuck on arguing about that. What we're not going to do is accept a total second-rate, sideline, abusive approach to how women, when and where women enter. Okay.
All right, Paula Giddens.
Well, yeah, Anna Julia Cooper.
Okay. All right.
Okay, fair enough. We'll go Anna Julia Cooper. The only thing I was trying to say, the only thing, I mean, for myself, if I had to label myself, I label myself as a womanist. When I'm reading this work, I'm very clear. I very clearly started out staunchly like, I'm not a feminist. I don't identify with that movement. Early on, had some experiences with interacting, and I realized, you definitely have to look at everything from an intersectional perspective. When I was just making the comment of like, you can clearly see that their work, like this is feminist work, I was only purely talking about very baseline. They got that they are doing this work as Black women, that they are having particular experiences as Black women. That's it.
Ban this comment. No discussion. Ban them and get rid of them. Ban and get rid. Don't waste no time. Let's go. Sis, can you hurry up, please?
Anyway, I know we got a couple of other comments. Dr. McCray, you said you wanted to comment. I know we're out of time. We're over time. You said you want to miss comments. Which ones were you trying to comment?
Well, I was trying to keep them in my head, but one you asked about, does the book deal with LGBTQ? I don't know exactly what I don't think you.
I was saying that I don't remember, maybe because I read it a couple of months ago, so I may have forgotten. I don't remember specifically reading anything about our sisters that are in the LGBTQ plus movement. Was that in there?
So yes, when it, and I put it in there when it came up.
Got it.
Okay. So there were, here's one particular situation on page 146.
Why didn't know the page that it came up on? Okay.
No, because you said I don't think you deal with that. And I was like, no, I'm not going down like that. There are a lot of issues that I really wrestled with. Okay, how do we deal with this? Right. Mm-hmm. And we can have another conversation on that. But one into that conversation was through the Barakas and how they dealt with
her daughter, the daughter.
Yeah. And
my bad. Yeah, we did.
A prominent Black feminist theorist who said that don't count. When not dealing with it until it comes home to bite, right? Gets your children.
Well, I would say that it doesn't count because it occurred long after they had made that shift from a Pan-African organization. Mm-hmm. So that's why I would say the quote. I mean, it
doesn't count.
That's why I would say it doesn't count. Mm-hmm. But I think it's important to note that yes, people have made changes. Even Chimurenga, his rhetoric is different now.
Yeah.
But I got issues with him because he caused too much goddamn damage and has not atoned for it or addressed it. But yes, people have made changes over, the years. Absolutely.
Yeah. And then one person said that they worked out their homophobia through the Black women's group. So it wasn't, my perception is, I don't know if it was a passage of time, right? Maybe they were working it out and at a much later time. It wasn't between 65 and 75.
Right.
And another way to look at it is that we couldn't deal with issues of gender difference and sexual orientation, complexity until we made spaces to deal with women's perspectives and issues, right? Because most of what we talked about was from a perspective like the Black man. The Black man is going to be restored to his rightful place in leadership, and the Black man needs our a lot of times the literature and the conversations revolved around masculinity, and so there wasn't space for women or LGBTQ issues or wherever they overlap. I don't know. It just was, but is that not dealing with it in your opinion?
I agree. I just had forgotten about that. As soon as you said it, I was like, oh yeah, you did. I had forgotten about that part. Sorry. So sorry. I'm glad that you did. And you said it was, go ahead. I'm sorry, Tommy.
Hour 22 minutes. I'm gonna have to get up over here.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. Okay. So what's next for you? What are you working on now, Dr. McCray? And then Tommy, I want to know what you're working on as we get ready to get out of here.
Right now, I'm hoping to. Well, right now I'm partially working on. So right now I'm working on research about Connie Tucker, who came out of the Florida Black freedom struggle, Alabama Black freedom struggle, and bridged, I think, civil rights activism with Black power activism with environmental justice. Yes. So.
All right, Connie Tucker, what you working on, Thandi?
There's what I should be working on. How about that?
Well, what is that?
I should be working on an oral history of local organizing around Oscar Grant. I started oral history interviews. They need to be edited, and I need to do a couple other things. But I'm also very, very excited that Kenya and Jamila, however many names you got, her, the little sister down there, the sister with the glasses, I'm so happy her book is out because I'm really pumped about this issue of Black women in revolutionary nationalist Pan-African its organizations and how much more we need to bring that to the fore, and the discussions, and people needing to know this history.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping I'll be a part of some type of project around that.
Okay.
I have ideas. So
Well, I am not a historian. I'm a psychologist. I'm Dr. Ìfétáyò Òjélàdé, and we're going to get out of here. My work right now, and I'm supposed to be doing it right now, so I'm going to let y'all go so I can finish it. I'm working on a chapter that's looking at conjure and magic and ancestral healing among the Gullah Geechee, and I'm making an argument that that is one of the early forms of Black psychology in this country. So that's what my project is right now. All right. Dr. Kenja McCray, the author. Oh, I'm sorry.
I appreciate the folks tuning in. I appreciate you, Door Oldfell 6447, even though I disagree with you. Appreciate you tuning in and commenting.
Yeah, thank you. There's Amadi, Omidara. I saw lots of folks that were commenting. Thank you all for showing up. And, if you're watching this, please do us a favor and give us a like, share. That's how you get the algorithm is, kind of conceptually incarcerating people unless we're saying a bunch of negative stuff about Black folks. So
they're saying, is that a paper or a book? I think they're talking about.
Which one?
Talking about you, Ìfétáyò.
Oh, that's the door, Ophel. That is, thanks. The most important thing is to free. As I heard that, I'm working on a book chapter. So this is part of a larger book series on the Gullah Geechee. Is Dr. Samuel Livingston out of Morehouse College is actually the leader of this project. So I gotta go so I don't get in trouble because I got to finish. Go ahead.
The Gullah Geechee are descendants of West Africans, are they not? That's an online
because there's an ongoing conversation of these bizarre people that try to say that they're indigenous to the United States. They are not. This is a combination of West African cultures. These are people of African descent. They are not indigenous. You might have some people that have some little mix of indigenous with them, but there is this really, really, really bizarre argument of people now. And I mean, I just had a conversation with someone that was like, well, we're really Native Americans. We didn't really come over here on slave ships. And I just
amplifying social media amplified the madness.
I was in the backseat of a car just recently, a couple of weeks ago, and somebody said that, and I was like, that's not true. And I didn't even have a good filter, and I just stopped talking after that because I was like, what in the world? I can't believe that people really think this.
Yes.
So yes.
And I don't know if it was. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, I didn't know if it was directed at me. Is that a paper or book? So my work will be a part of books, larger books. So one is a Cambridge women, Black women's history of Black women in America. I'll put the link in the to the proposed book series in the comments, and then I'm pushing it further to be a part of a book on Black Power in Florida. And that project is being led by Will Guzman. Where is Will Guzman now? NC Central, NCANT, and then Kwesi Densu out of Florida A&M University.
Oh, Kwesi, tell him I said what's up.
Okay, sure will.
I am trying to, and I want to give you all a link to one more thing that I just had published a few months ago. Is if anybody is interested, here, I think I got it. If anyone's interested, I just published an article using Yemonja, who is a Yoruba deity. So I'm putting it in chat right now. And I'm looking at Yemonja and the energy of Yemonja as we perceive her in the United States and kind of in the African diaspora, and using that energy for protection and healing, and particularly in this world right now of anti-Africanness, anti-Blackness, and misogynoir. So I play with those concepts, and that's a journal article, so you can access it for free. So I just put the link right there. So that's in the Journal of African kind of Studies. They had a special issue on Black psychology. So anyway, Dr. Kenja McCray, Associate Professor of History at Clayton State University, Thandisizwe Chimurenga, who is a journalist, a social commentator, and she is also a writer. We are here every first Friday at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and Thandi gets up at 9 o'clock in the morning to come.
Get up earlier than that to come.
Well, she gets up earlier than that, but she's here with us at 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. So come and hang out with us on the Fridays. If you ever have ideas of things that you want us to talk about or things that you just know that are coming up, put those in the chat. Share those with us. We'd love to continue to have a conversation with you. Everyone, take care.
Peace.